the Honorable Prem Singh to have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Before I start my budget response, I wish to raise two issues, Madam. Firstly, I was on my way to Parliament this morning and I received calls from concerned parents of ES6 students, as well as management of some schools, who are still awaiting results of intermediate examination results released last Friday. One school member even told me that in cases where results have been made available, it is riddled with errors. A-grade English students have received 0 marks in this subject. This needs urgent clarification by the Honourable Minister for Education. Secondly, Madam Speaker, this is more critical than how you feel. Madam Speaker, the second issue is, while raising a point of order during a reply to the budget by the Honourable Shadow Minister for Finance, the Honourable Government Whip said, name the lawyers and we will take them to task. From since when, Madam Speaker, a Member of Parliament has so much power that they can write roughshod over the procedures of the Independent Legal Services Commission? Or is it this as how the Commission has been interfered with? Madam Speaker, this budget has been thoroughly scrutinized by the Shadow Minister for Finance and the opposition, and no doubt will be subjected to severe scrutiny during the committee stages. Much was promised in the 2015 budget. Some is yet to be achieved or delivered. Similarly, Madam Speaker, much has been promised in the 2016 budget. Whether or not the projections and forecasts are fulfilled or objectives met will only be seen 1 year from now. However, Madam Speaker, scrutiny of our budget, which is the most important policy document handed down by a government every year, will be made much easier if government through the Minister of Finance adheres to the requirements of the Financial Management Act and tables in Parliament reports on financial performance in accordance with the Financial Management Act, and not on budget day, but strictly in accordance with the requirements as stated by the Shadow Minister of Finance. Madam Speaker, the reduction of value-added tax from 15% to 9% has been praised in this Parliament, and any reduction in taxes is naturally welcome. But let me put this reduction in context and its corresponding effects. What about those below the tax threshold of $16,000 earning $2.32 an hour as minimum wage, or living in poverty or abject poverty? What about those ineligible for social pension scheme despite being in retirement? Madam Speaker, those eligible for $50 food voucher will get fewer items than previously because basic food items that were zero rated now see increase in price because of imposition of a 9% VAT. And most seriously, Madam Speaker, is imposition of VAT on basic food items turning promises into deeds. As revealed by the honourable members of the opposition, was this deed promised by FIJI First in its manifesto for the 2014 general elections? The FIJI First manifesto, Madam Speaker, is worth repeating, and I quote, FIJI First will continue to control the price of basic food items such as rice, flour, potatoes, dal, cooking oil, and pharmaceutical and medical products. FIJI First will continue to place zero VAT on powdered milk, rice, edible oil, tin fish, flour, sharps, and medicines. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the imposition of VAT on basic food items that have been zero rated for many years is a betrayal of the promise made to the people of Fiji by the FIJI First government. We are told that the imposition of VAT will be cushioned by the so-called free water and free medicine schemes. We are interested to know, Madam Speaker, how many people or households are actually benefiting from these schemes. Government should provide these figures for the sake of transparency. And government so far, Madam Speaker, has not clarified what is the actual savings to a household or person assessing the free water scheme subsidy. From our calculations, it is $13.96 per year, or $1.16 per month, or $3.49 a quarter for every 3 months. This pales into insignificance with the increased cost of basic food items like rice, sharps, flour, oil, tin fish, and kerosene. These are bought every week in every household. Madam Speaker, government decided to significantly reduce duties on certain items. These items are not purchased weekly. What government should have done was to reduce duties on food items like potatoes. This reduction should also have happened in the case of meat like lamb and chicken, which has become a basic commodity. This would have been a reasonable measure to cushion the effects of imposition of VAT on basic food items. Madam Speaker, the same analogy applies to milk. On the same argument. Madam Speaker, the same analogy applies to milk. While milk, butter, cream, and yogurt have reduced VAT of 9%, it still attracts an import duty of 32%. However, FIJI Dairy Limited enjoys 0% concessions. But for the last 3 years, production of milk by FIJI cooperatives did not increase, as the amount paid to farmers is not enough to cover cost of production. This is despite what government through the Permanent Secretary of Trade and Tourism said a few months ago. FIJI does not manufacture milk. FIJI does not manufacture milk powder. Then why such high import duty of 32% was imposed? Inevitably, Madam Speaker, this duty is passed on to the consumers. Milk can be much cheaper if the duty is reduced. The concession provided to FIJI Dairy is not passed on to the consumers. Madam Speaker, government projects to rake in $127.5 million from service turnover tax. The 10% STT means, for example, if I eat in a restaurant and the food bill comes to $10, then $2 goes to the government. This is apart from the 9% VAT and duties on food items. The same applies to hotels where tourists pay STT, but are the workers of our hotels, resorts, and restaurants sharing a piece of this revenue cake. While government forecasts revenue of more than $127 million from STT, the salaries of workers remain stagnant. Madam Speaker, we have established that there is no uniformity in salaries and wages of our hotel and resort workers. For Fiji's largest revenue earner, generating over $800 million last year, although 60% of the tourist dollar, or 56%, depending on whether one believes the Reserve Bank governor or the deputy governor respectively, goes outside Fiji. Our workers in the tourism industry deserve much more. For example, Madam Speaker, one resort pays only $2.89 an hour for a receptionist. Another resort is paying $4.65. The lowest wage rate in tourism industry is $2.50. And $2.50 an hour, while the highest is $6 an hour. These are disparities that must be corrected. Affordability by hotel and resort owners is not an issue because some prominent resorts are paying lower wages than smaller ones. Madam Speaker, still on tourism, the plight of our courier vendors, especially at the Suva handicraft market, is not being addressed by government. Government is promoting Buy Fijian Made, but tourists who arrive at Queen's Wharf on board cruise ships are whisked away on tours or to prominent duty-free outlets, while the courier vendors are left to feed on crumbs. This is totally unfair. But what protection are we giving to our courier vendors? What has been talked about the SMEs? When you let the big guys go in and grab these tourists. This is totally unfair and unreasonable, Madam Speaker. Every business must have equal opportunity, whether small, medium, or large entity. And courier vendors sell locally made and crafted handicraft, and not items imported from Asian countries. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, one cannot recognize the handicraft center no more, unless he or she is well versed with the city of Suva. The entire building has digital signage and colors. How will tourists know that quality and exclusive handicraft is available for sale? Madam Speaker, each stall owner pays a total of $2,511.60 in stall fees per stall per annum at the rate of $8.05. For a 6-week, the center has 71 stores and it should be generating $178,323.60 in annual revenue to Suva City Council. Suva City Council should give digital naming rights, not complete signage that completely overbears the semblance of existence of a handicraft center. This should be similar to the naming rights of our sporting facilities that still retain their identity. For example, like ANZ Stadium or Vodafone Arena or the Dome. The courier vendors certainly deserve better treatment from both Suva City Council and government, and we urge the Honourable Minister of Local Government and Tourism respectively to address this issue with urgency. Madam Speaker, we see government is providing incentives like tax holidays and duty-free imports of equipment for the establishment of state-of-the-art hospitals and diagnostic laboratories. Public and private partnerships is a good thing. We vigorously promoted this during the last elections. But this has come to a reality. The last such proposal of the establishment of a hospital by the Apollo Group 8 years ago has not seen the light of the day, despite the offer of similar incentives. However, Madam Speaker, in the absence of a state-of-the-art hospital, it is utterly disappointing to note that tertiary health care, which is advanced surgical procedures like heart surgeries, had been halted. The Ministry of Health must confirm whether bureaucracy and legal wrangling by the Ministry and the Solicitor General's Office has halted heart surgeries. We know, Madam Speaker, that when this issue was raised by the Honourable Leader of the NFP a month ago, the Honourable Minister for Health vigorously denied this. But he did not say that the agreement with Saidri hospitals was invalidated on the 6th of August. But the Honourable Minister also said that nobody was denied his or her fundamental right to treatment. But the fact is that only patients who receive treatment are two overseas were patients who had medical insurance. This is reportedly because of alleged non-compliance and delays on the interpretation of a memorandum of agreement between the Minister for Health and Saidri FIJI, which is believed to be a subsidiary of Saidri Group India, whose surgeons were providing specialist treatment to Fiji patients. We believe the agreement between Saidri FIJI and Health Ministry was valid for 5 years. Under the agreement, surgeons and specialists from Saidri India commenced advanced cardiac, orthopedic and neurosurgeries at the CWM and Lotoka hospitals from 2013. The question that arises, Madam Speaker, if there were flaws in the agreement between the Health Ministry and Saidri FIJI or even Saidri India, why wasn't this detected before it was signed by the parties? Why did it take 2 years for the Health Ministry to seek legal opinion on this agreement? Madam Speaker, we also believe as part of the reversals being put in place by the Health Ministry, the grant of $10,000 has been reduced to $5,000 to these cases since 2015. This makes it even more difficult for patients to be prepared for open heart surgery. No clear answers are forthcoming from the health personnel apart from the no money cry since July 2015. Why, Madam Speaker? These are critical issues that need to be addressed, and we certainly look forward to the Honourable Health Minister informing this House why the grant has been reduced. Madam Speaker, if similar obstacles are faced with any new tertiary healthcare provider who wishes to operate in Fiji and enjoy the tax holiday and duty concessions provided under this budget, then our patients are doomed. Madam Speaker, despite what we were told by the government through the Honourable Minister for Health, a patient awaiting heart surgery died. We were told that the agreement with Saidri was terminated on the 6th of August, but on 12th August, a patient travelled from Reykjavik for the scheduled surgery to be performed by Saidri surgeons. He was never informed prior to his trip to CWM hospital that the operation has been postponed, or in this case cancelled, until his arrival at the hospital. Madam Speaker, the patient returned home and died 5 days later on the 17th of August. If this isn't bureaucracy, then what is? Who is responsible for this negligence? Section 38 of the Constitution, 2013 Constitution, Madam, right to health, states the state must take reasonable measures within its available resources to achieve the progressive realization of the right of every person to health and to the conditions and facilities necessary to good health care services. And Section 38(3) states, if the state claims that it does not have the resources to implement the right, it is the responsibility of the state to show that resources are not available. Madam Speaker, we see from the budget there is very minimal contingency plan to combat the debilitating effects of the drought, particularly in the western and the northern divisions. Further, Madam Speaker, only a comprehensive survey will determine the kind of amount of assistance and crop rehabilitation packages needed for the recovery of these industries. and sectors. Government must immediately move in this direction, apart from supplying and improving the distribution of emergency water supplies. Madam Speaker, I totally agree with the Honourable Leader of NFP about the plight of cane growers and the industry. I will not repeat them except to say, Madam Speaker, the fact that the cane growers are treated like sacrificial lambs or beasts of burden is best seen from the events of the last few weeks, culminating into the mediocre allocation of only $5 million for cane planting programs. For 2014 season, Madam Speaker, the actual cane payment growers received was $72.59 per ton. This is almost $16 per ton less than the $88.49 paid out in 2013. The 2014 payment, however, was boosted to $81 with a top-up of $8 per ton of the fourth payment and 41 cents from the final payment, which was grower share proceeds from the liquidation of FIJI Sugar Marketing Authority in 2009. Madam Speaker, growers received the lowest final payment of a meager 30 cents per ton a fortnight ago, topped up to 71 cents by 41 cents as growers proceeds from FSM liquidation. This is the lowest in history. In fact, lowest final payments of 37 cents and 30 cents happened under the military-turned Fiji first government in 2010 and 2015, respectively. The special payment of $2.80 per ton paid on the eve of Diwali is also advanced. This is growers' own money. It is part of proceeds for the 2015 crops and is likely to be deducted from the third and fourth payments in March and May, respectively, next year. Madam Speaker, the average cost of production, harvesting and delivery of cane is $45, around $45. 70% of our growers produce an average of 150 tons of cane. This is around 9,000 growers. Madam Speaker, the total earnings of 9,000 average growers for the entire season, excluding harvesting, delivery, and production costs, is a meager $5,400 paid over 16 months. This is $10,600 below the tax threshold of $16,000. Growers, therefore, are in abject poverty, and ever since cane production declined by 50% from pre-coup levels in 2006 to between 1.6 to 1.8 million tons under almost for 9 years. When you have people in charge of the industry who cannot differentiate the stock from its stock, then God help cane growers. This is the sad and unmistakable reality, Madam Speaker, and I wish the government well in its revenue collection and to use it with the expenditure mix, and wish them all the best. Thank you.